Welcome to Toastmasters Live, coming to you from Studio A of North Metro Cable TV, channel number 15, located in Blaine, Minnesota, and you are welcome to join us. Tonight, we meet on the second and fourth Tuesdays of each month, and tonight's theme is Excited About Leadership. We will have one speaker today, and his name is Dan Nelson. He has been a Toastmaster for almost 10 years. He has primarily been part of the Stagecoach speakers in downtown Minneapolis. Today, he will be presenting material from the Leadership Excellence Series from Toastmasters International. Today's educational program is a requirement for achieving the Advanced Leader Bronze. This leadership series is a set of presentations addressing the subject of leadership. In this program, The Visionary Leader, it discusses how leaders create and communicate a vision to their organization to be successful. You will learn about the skills needed to become a successful leader inside and outside of Toastmasters. Please welcome Dan with his speech entitled, Getting People Excited. Getting People Excited? Dan Nelson.
What is a vision? Is it just a jazzy slogan that comes across as a cliche? For some organizations and companies, that may be true. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, and our North Metro audience. Today, as mentioned by the Toastmaster, we're going to be talking from the Leadership Excellence Series, The Visionary Leader. The questions we're going to ask and answer are, what is a vision? What the purpose of the vision is? What are the characteristics of a vision statement? How do you create a vision statement? And finally, how to communicate your vision statement. Our first question is, what is a vision? A vision is a mental picture of what an organization aspires to become. What if the organization achieves its vision? Well, then it needs to set a new vision. But normally, you want to make it something that's lofty and big, and something that you're looking to achieve, but probably never will achieve. So the purpose of a vision statement is several. It provides a general direction. It provides context for decision making. It affects the organization's structure and affects working relationships. For example, with Wells Fargo, which I work at, the vision statement says, we want to satisfy our customers' financial needs and help them succeed financially. Basically, it answers the deeper questions of why do we care? Or why do we bother? It's the dreaming piece. It's, if everything goes right, this is how your organization will change the world. It's pretty lofty, indeed. So what are some characteristics of the vision statement? Well, vision statement should be clear, meaning it's understandable. It needs to be challenging rather than something simply easily achieved. It needs to be general, which as opposed to being specific, so it's broad. And it's people-oriented as opposed to being process-oriented. And it's inspiring rather than informative. And it's easily communicated as opposed to being complex. Whatever industry or business that you're in, if you stay true to your core, you will reach your summit. And that's what a vision statement does. Just to give you an example of some vision statements from some organizations and corporations that you may know of, there are several that provide some excellent examples of vision statements. The Alzheimer's Association says, our vision is a world without Alzheimer's disease. Now that's a fantastic vision. It's clear, it's challenging, it's general, it's people-oriented, inspiring, and easily communicated. Amazon has a little bit longer vision statement. It says, our vision is to be the Earth's most customer-centric company, to build a place where people can come to find and discover anything they may want to buy online. Now, as you can see, Amazon has been doing retail stores, so they may want to change their vision statement to reflect that. But that was what their vision statement is on the current site. Charles Schwab, which helps investors invest and do their own trades, their vision statement is helping investors help themselves. Again, short, to the point, clear. This is one I love. Cold Stone Creamery, the ultimate ice cream experience. I love that. Disney's got one, to make people happy. Think about it. If that's your vision, that directs how your employees act when they come across the public. Their goal, their vision is to make people happy. Google has to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. That sounds like Google. Instagram is capture and share the world's moments. That's very, again, it's clear, to the point, inspiring. Microsoft has one that says, empower people through great software anytime, any place, on any device. And finally, I just wrap up with Zappos. They say our vision is delivering happiness to customers, employees, and vendors. Now think about that. If their vision is to deliver happiness to the vendors, that means they'll probably pay on time, won't they? Otherwise, they're not being consistent with their vision. So if I were a vendor of Zappos, I would actually like the fact that they have that as part of their vision. And going to Toastmasters, I went to Toastmasters International just to see what their vision statement said. And they said, the vision is to be the first choice provider of dynamic, high-value, experiential communication and leadership skills development. Now that's a mouthful, but that really does cover it all. But I like the other phrase they have, where leaders are made. Again, that's clear, to the point, inspiring. Now for Toastmasters Live, we don't have a vision statement yet, but it's something I encourage our club to do. What might it be? We may say where speakers can see themselves as others do, or seeing a persona as others do. I looked at some Toastmasters Club to see what some vision statements are there. Maybe we can get some inspiration for that. One of them is to empower people to achieve their full potential and realize their dreams. Another is to improve their communication and leadership skills and find the courage to change. Now that's inspiring. That would get me excited to be part of that type of organization. Final one, finding growth opportunities in both communication and leadership. Again, easy to communicate, clear. So those are just examples of some vision statements. So how do you go about crafting the vision statement? Well, you need to ask yourself several questions. You need to ask yourself, what does the organization do well? What are the most important things the organization wants to do? What makes the organization unique or special? We talked about that last week in our last meeting after our club meeting. We met together and we talked about that a little bit. And what does the team expect from the organization? It's also an excellent question. And what makes the team feel good about their organization? You see, the vision statement, it talks about the future and about possibilities. It's compelling and memorable statement. It's inspiring to those who hear it and galvanizes them into action. It's inclusive and makes people feel that they're part of something larger than themselves. I think that's something, an innate need that we all have. The speaker of the vision feels transformed. A major focus in one area. What are we trying to achieve? What do we want to be like in 10 years? Those are all things you look at when you're trying to craft the vision statement. Also, when you're crafting a vision statement, you need to involve the other team members. There needs to be a willingness to achieve that vision. There needs to be control of their own futures and to foster cooperation and collaboration. A vision statement helps make all the members row the boat in the same direction. Now, once you develop the vision, you need to communicate that vision. And you need to talk about that vision all the time. You need to explain how it will benefit them. Now, let me give you an example. I was the president of the Stage Show Speakers from 2012 to 2013. And the previous year, our club had gotten 9 out of the 10 Distinguished Club Program goals. There was one goal we didn't get, the easiest one, submitting the officers list. Can you believe that? We didn't know at the time that that was going to be the one we didn't get, but we came so close. So I became president. I thought, this year we're going to get 10 out of 10. Our club had never achieved 10 out of 10 before in the whole year of the history of the club. But I communicated to the team, the executive team, the vision, getting 10 out of 10. And our club did get 10 out of 10. And we got all the officers trained, 7 for 7, both sessions. First time our club ever did that. And what's interesting is that afterwards, the next 3 years, we achieved the 10 out of 10. So you can see that having a vision can give you momentum and get you going. After those 3 years, though, there was a little bit of drop-off. And you got only 8 out of 10. Maybe you didn't communicate that vision strong enough to be able to get that. Of course, you have to understand the DCP program is a way to help members to achieve. The club achieves their goals by helping the members achieve their goals. So it's a win-win situation. So you need to explain how it will benefit them. Of course, again, you explain in terms of what they're going to get out of it. You need to be enthusiastic about it. You could say, for Wells Fargo, we want to satisfy our customers' financial needs and help them succeed financially. Now, did that inspire you? Did that seem that I was inspired? Instead, we say we want to satisfy our customers' financial needs and help them to succeed financially. Show that you mean it. And everything that's done should reflect that vision. I want to conclude with a quote. It says, if you want to build a ship, don't drum up people to collect wood and don't assign them tasks and work, but rather teach them to long for the endless immensity of the sea. Think about what your club is to be about. What makes you different? What gets you excited? What is easy to remember and say? Craft up a vision statement if you don't have one already for your club. And I encourage our club to come up with a vision statement. And make sure that you communicate that vision all the time. Why do people leave Toastmasters? Because they've lost their vision. Keep the vision in front of you and remind yourself and others of that vision, because doing so will get people excited. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Dan. Toastmasters Live. We have completed the first section of our meeting, which is the prepared speeches section. The second part is an opportunity for our Toastmasters to give us an unprepared answer to questions they have not had or heard before. I have some dillies here that will challenge their best thinking ability, and I'm going to start with Tyler. Tyler Hardy, what is something you really enjoy doing that is a chore or a bore to many other people, and why?
Wow, Steve, that is quite a question that you've asked. So you're wondering what appeals to me that others find to be dull or boring or a chore. Well, I had a conversation earlier with Dan today, and we were talking about facilitating discussion. Now, even the two words by themselves sound rather boring, but for me, that's a big part of what I do in my day-to-day job, working with Wells Fargo in computer software. It's my job to make sure that everyone on the team is on the same page and working towards the same goal or vision, as Dan talked about earlier in his speech. For me, it's really exciting to see team members collaborating with each other, working together towards that common goal, and ultimately achieving that goal. So for me, facilitating discussion and effective teamwork is very exciting.
Thank you,
Mr.
Tyler.
Toastmaster?
Our second speaker today is a guest. Jamie Ogborn has joined us for our meeting this evening, and she has agreed to take a question. She is also a Toastmaster. Jamie, if you could go back in time and ask any famous leader in history one question and assume you would be given a correct answer, whom would you ask that question and what would you ask?
It's a good question. I guess I should have paid more attention in history class. I honestly do not know the answer to that question. I'm the type of person where I'm good at having conversations. I never have the right words when I need them, and I never have the right questions to ask. I ultimately would ask, "Hi, how was your day?" They would answer, and then they would walk away. And I'd be like, why did I ask such a silly question? I have the world at my fingertips, and I asked that. Therefore, I know myself, and I know I would ask a very silly question. I would be very disappointed in my response, and I would think the rest of my life, what was I thinking? I guess I should have been better prepared, and I should have paid attention in history class. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Interestingly enough, now you can think about that because you've been challenged. Kent Hawks is our third respondent. Kent, if for 1 month you could live in some famous person's or leader's residence or house in the entire world, which would you choose and why?
What place would I like to live, of a world leader or a famous person, and why? That is a challenging question. As soon as you said it, I started thinking about the places that I have been, and very few of them compare with, there's the Tower of London, but that's not a good place to stay because those were usually people on their way to the block. But it would be an interesting place to hang out during the daytime. Another place would be the palace in St. Petersburg, now known or formerly known as Leningrad. The palace is a wonderful place, and I would love to live in such a palace, as long as, of course, I had someone else to take care of it, maintain it, and do the chores around there, because as my wife says, when I tell her I want to live in a 3,000 square foot house, she asks me, who's going to clean it? And I say, if we can afford a 3,000 square foot house, we can pay someone to clean it. Or we'll just have to have more kids. That shuts her up really quickly. But I love the idea of living in a palace. As a matter of fact, my plan, and one thing about plans is you have to have one in order for it to come true. I've always had a plan that if I won the lottery, I have a plan for the first 15 million. So I have no problem knowing what I'm going to spend it on. I'm going to build myself a castle, with part of it dedicated to educating the public about castles and other things like that. But also, I would build myself my own castle, base it on different towers of real places, so I could live in those places when I chose to. And I think that's basically what I would choose to do. Between Petersburg in Russia and a couple of the different places I've been in Germany and England, I would just like to have a tower of each in my own castle. Back to you.
Great leadership advice given there. If you want to succeed, you must have a plan. Without a plan, you always succeed at hitting whatever it was you were not knowing you were going to try for. Thank you, speakers. We will now prepare for our evaluation section of the meeting. Now, there are 3 parts typically to a Toastmasters meeting. The first, again, was the prepared speeches. We've just finished the unprepared speeches, speaking impromptu, we call table topics. And after that, then we demonstrate our listening ability and our ability to give critical, helpful advice to our speaker. And today, I would like to invite our evaluator to come forward and evaluate Dan's speech. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster and the viewing audience. Today, Dan's speech was about the visionary leader. And what I'm going to be using as an evaluation method is a combination of the manual questions and positive statements, improvement, and praise. Starting out, Dan gave a very clear purpose for his speech. He wanted to communicate what exactly a vision is. He outlined the different steps he would be using, the characteristics of a vision, how to communicate the vision, and the general direction of the vision. So he was very, very clear in his introduction. He was prepared. He had information that was outlined for him that came from an advanced manual, so he knew exactly what to go by. And his vocal variety was somewhat lacking, I would say. He had almost one tone all the way through. I would put a little gusto, especially in the beginning, say, what is visionary leadership? And then at the end, when you said, you ended with a quote, I would just say, let's get excited and give the quote. His loudness was good, very clear. I would slow down just a little bit and enunciate just a little bit also. You had visuals. Your PowerPoint will follow along with your main characteristics, which is great. When you were doing your speech, you used your hands, not only open-handed, but with your fists to show emphasis. That was very good. You had good eye contact with the audience most of the time, especially when you were telling your story about doing the 10 things that you needed to do for the DCP program. However, at times you were looking down at your notes, I thought just a little bit too much. I would practice a little bit more, try to do it without the notes, and maybe put another story in that would help you remember what you're going to say so you wouldn't have to look at the notes quite so much. Was it clear? It was very clear. You made it simple. You told what the vision was, examples, communicate always, and ended with a great quote. I liked the presentation very much. I think you did a great job. You got your point across. You made it simple for people to understand. And the examples were phenomenal. You started out with Amazon, and then Wells Fargo, and several other different companies. And the one that I thought about was Carnival, the fun ship. So let's go out and have some fun and be leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. There are the 3 portions of our meeting complete. Again, we aren't only about speaking, however. We're about leadership as well. And Dan spoke to leadership, gave some excellent examples, and was talking about how a company without, or an organization without a path or without a goal is lost. And in Toastmasters, we have a path. We are about leadership. We are about communication, and we practice leadership. That's the role I'm taking today. I'm the Toastmaster. My job is to lead us through this meeting. Each club has leaders, and the organization has the opportunity to practice leadership skills in other arenas as well. You know, Toastmasters is a cool organization. It's a safe place to practice speaking, to practice listening, to practice leading. And we would invite anybody out there to come in and join us. Dan, did you have some times on the table topics that you could share with us? By the way, when we do table topics, the goal is to try and speak for at least 1 minute on the subject that you've been asked and not been able to think about beforehand, and at most 2 or maybe 2.5 minutes. Did you have times you could share? Why don't you go ahead and give them?
Okay, thank you. Tyler, for your table topics, you came in just under at 57 seconds. And Jamie, yours was a little bit under at 50 seconds. Kent, yours went just a little bit over at 2 minutes and 8 seconds. And Judy, yours was just a tad over at 3 minutes and 3 seconds.
Thank you, Dan. And again, the table topics was 1 to 2 minutes, and the evaluations are typically 2 to 3 minutes. So Judy was right there on the mark as well. Excellent meeting today. As the general evaluator, the final role that I'm playing here, it's my job to evaluate the meeting. It's always fun to come and present this information for you, the viewing audience. And Jamie was here today joining us, and it was just an excellent opportunity to meet somebody new, hear and see her in action, and to share with her some of the fun we're having. We invite you to join us as well. Come on down. Toastmasters Live, 2nd and 4th Tuesdays, 6 o'clock, Studio A at North Metro Cable Channel 15. We'd love to have you join us. That's it. Good night, folks.